Hey, Mr. Stan 913 here. Welcome to our second live stream. We said that we would have one of these from time to time when we went on a trip or two. So this is a trip that we took back about a month and a half ago. Um, there was a lot that we did during this trip, and it was to Wellsboro, Pennsylvania. And we were wanting to do this trip for a real long time because there was a lot to see in that area. And I guess let's talk first. Dorothy's here with me today again. And let's first talk about the downtown, Darth. What did you think of the downtown?
It was very quaint, very gave you that 1950s feel where all the um, all the streets and stuff are clean with like flags, and there's a fountain and a park downtown, and lots of very unique stores. You could spend, in comparison to like the Bethlehem trip that we took, this downtown was a little bit more significant. And we spent probably a good half a day just going through the shops, and you could probably even spend a little bit more time if you wanted to. But they have some really unique stores and restaurants.
There is a video that is on our YouTube page that I went into a stained glass store and met the two employees there, and they talked a little bit about their store. It's about a 2-minute video, but stained glass really a lot of people doesn't do anymore. They provide classes and show you how to make the stained glass. That was one of the stores on the street that
Yeah,
we
so
did.
if you do visit there, I highly recommend they have Dunham's, which is an old-fashioned everything store, which was really nice. They have the old-fashioned movie theater, which Stan also provided a video on, and a lot of other unique shops.
So yeah, the downtown was very nice. We did one night. The ice cream parlor. There's a really nice ice cream parlor there, old fashioned, really good ice cream. We also did a walk through the neighborhood. Really nice homes. Um, but let me move on to the next topic, which was the Wellsboro Diner, one of the famous diners in the area. Um, it's really cute inside, very small. Uh,
It's only one of three that are in existence today, and they have the other two. I know one is in New Jersey. They're all on the East Coast. Um, and it was never too crowded while we were there. It does have a limited menu, but the food I thought was very good. And it's definitely well worth the experience to do it at least once while you're there. I think they're only open for breakfast and lunch.
yes, yeah. It was really cool. Like we got up early just to get there, just to get a seat inside. Very nice, good coffee. One thing
Yeah.
about a diner, the coffee was good.
Yeah, they do have like a back room area that's kind of outside
Yeah.
the original diner. And so we wanted to make sure that we had the experience of being in the diner itself. So we definitely did get there when it first opened. The other thing I wanted to discuss, I don't know if it was on, is where we stayed, the hotel.
Oh, you can. Yeah, that's good.
We stayed in Penwell's Lodge, and what we didn't realize when we booked the trip was there is two Penwell's Lodges. There is one, they're like down the street from each other. There's in an original Victorian hotel, and then down the street, which is where we stayed, is a more modern hotel. I think it used to be actually kind of like a motel that
Yeah,
they've
it's a
converted
small
into a
lodge, and they
hotel.
actually did 2 renovations since then.
Yeah, so it has an indoor pool, and they offer breakfast for free when you stay there. It was very nice, but if we do go back, I definitely would like to stay at the Penswell Historic Hotel down the street. It's on the same street, and it was originally built in like 1816. However, just like the Bethlehem Hotel, they had multiple fires, and the structure that's there now was built in like 1925. So it's not as old as like the hotel that we stayed at down in Cape May. But it's more of like the vintage of a Bethlehem hotel. We did not see the rooms, but the lobby was very nice, and
We
we
ate dinner
did
there.
eat dinner
Yeah, we
there,
ate
and that
dinner.
that was very that was a neat experience because their restaurant is full of photos, photos that dated way back, and
Yeah.
it's all about the town. And I thought that was very interesting. If you don't eat there for dinner, definitely stop in at an off time, and you can walk through there and see the photos. It's definitely
Yeah, there's
worthwhile.
a sheet though. They give you a sheet with the numbers of the photo, and you can read about that photo at that time. So let's move on to still on Main Street. So as I was walking through Main Street, I saw this old movie theater, and I love old movie theaters. And there was a gentleman by the name of Mike, we found out later on, who was locking the door of the theater. So as we were across the street, I saw Mike and I asked him, I said, hey, is there any way you can let us in to give us a tour? He let me and my friend Bob in, who was on the trip with us, him and his wife, Terry. And we went in and he gave us a tour. And again, it's on Mr. Stan 913's YouTube page. You can see it there. But it was really cool to see how they converted this one screen theater or one theater into 4 screens. And it's all digital. The prices are cheaper than when you're in a big city. Mike goes over like the profits that they make and how much the movie companies take out of that profit. It was really cool to see this. When you first walk in, that's all they have is a little stand there where you can buy your popcorn and your food, and right there you buy your tickets for the movie. And this is what it looked like lit up at night. But if you get a chance, go on our site and look at the video. It's really cool to just hear the history of this theater and how Mike talks about how if you don't have a theater, you can, theater, you need that in your town for your town to keep going. So on one of our next days, we did this old cover wagon tours that Dorothy found that takes you on a tour into the valley of the PA Grand Canyon. So you want to talk about that, Dorothy?
So, um, in Pennsylvania, what a lot of areas are doing, or they're doing what they call rails to trails. So they take an old rail bed and they're making it into a trail. And this is one of them. It's called Pine Creek Rail Trail, and it goes through into the valley of the Grand Canyon. So if you are very athletic, and you don't even really have to be very athletic. You can rent bikes. You could walk the trail. But because it was kind of hot and we were doing some other trails, we decided to do this. And it was a really nice experience. It took us 2 hours. They have 2 different tours. This one was a 2 hour tour. They do have a 3 hour tour that also goes to the falls. But that is only run one day a week.
Mm-hmm.
This one is only run a couple days a week. So if you're planning to go up there and really want to do this, make sure you go to their website and see which days they do the tours. I think they do 2 a day. We did the 10, I think it was 10 or 10:30 tour. It's covered, which is nice. So if it's hot out, you're not going to be dying of heat, and it's open.
We also did hear, like Dorothy said about the other tour that takes you to the falls. We did hear from some people because there was a drought going on at the time. The falls really weren't a falls. It was there, but it wasn't spectacular. So we decided to just do this 2 hour tour, like she said. But one thing that was interesting, there's bikes going along the trail, and at one point a rattlesnake went across the trail, and our tour guide said, hey, there's a rattlesnake. So we had to let people know on their bikes, be careful, there's a rattlesnake in the area. So you just got to watch where you can walk it or bike it, but you got to just watch what you're doing as you're going through the trail.
Yeah, on this trip we did bump into 2 snakes, but both times they were scurrying away. But you just definitely want to be aware that you are in nature. So it takes you an hour out and then an hour back. And the tour guide, he was hilarious, very amusing, told you a lot of history about the area. And when you were out there, when they were getting the wagon turned around, he actually took a picture of each party
Yep.
with the horses, which
Yeah.
was also very nice.
And with along the creek here, it was really cool because you see guys fly fishing and stuff like that. It's really cool. You just see people out there fishing
And he pointed out, he pointed out the snake. He pointed out there were fish that we could see in the river. He actually pointed out some lookouts that we weren't aware of that we ended up checking out after the tour. So it definitely, if you've never been, it's well worth it. Not only for the history, but also beautiful pictures. Being in the valley.
So on that same day, and this was really great, we went up into the mountain, which they call the PA Grand Canyons, the Pennsylvania Grand Canyons, and this is where we did a lot of walking trails. Dorothy and I only. Our friends Bob and Terry didn't tag along for this, but this was a lot of fun. We walked through here. We were trying to get to the waterfalls, but again, it was a trickle. We got to it, but we could see that there really wasn't a lot of water. But you can see here in this picture here how steep it is. We had to be very careful because you're like right on the edge. They were calling it the Edge Trail. But any more on that, Dorothy?
Well, so if you're not a hiker, there are definitely trails that you can do. And then if you are a hiker and like more challenging trails, there's definitely trails to do. So basically, the West Rim trails run along the whole rim of the Grand Canyon. And there are first trail that you get to as you're driving up is called Barber Rock Trail. That was the picture that Stan has up right now. That is like a mile walk in, but it's very flat. It's wooded. It's a wide trail, and you come out to the most amazing view.
Yeah, yeah.
So that anyone can do, young or old.
And the girl on the edge in that one picture, she was sitting on the edge of the cliff there. It was kind of dangerous. I wouldn't go
You
down
don't
that
have
far.
to do that. And
Yeah.
they do have park benches.
Yeah.
And they do have bathrooms along the trails, so that's very nice along the more the easier trails. So then you have to get back in your car, and then if you drive up to the very next parking spot that you get to, the major parking area, you'll then hit 5 lookout sites. So if you park at the lower end of the 5 sites and get out and walk, the first 4 that you come to are very easy trails, and it will take you to a lookout that has a bench and a beautiful view. The 4th to the 5th, the furthest up viewing, is a little bit tricky to walk.
Mm-hmm.
There's a lot of roots that are on the trail. I would still say it's easy, but it's out of the 5, it is probably the most difficult. So don't start at the top and go down, because if you do, you'll be like, oh my God, this is an awful trail.
Yeah.
I don't want to do all 5. If you start at the bottom and work your way up, you'll be doing fine. And then if you venture beyond that 5th lookout onto the rim trail, that's where it gets narrow and a little bit more challenging.
And also is some water trickling along the trail from inside the mountain, so you got to be careful because it gets a little slippery.
Yeah, well, that's when what we decided to do was we took the rim trail around, and then we decided to do Turkey Path. Turkey Path is, I would say, an extremely challenging trail. Not one that if you have any issues you want to be tackling, because it does have some water. It has some mud. It has some steep trails, very narrow trails, but I felt very well worth it. I had a walking stick. I highly recommend a walking stick if you're doing this type of trails. It's steep going down, so I find that that's the harder is the going down. So if you go down and then climb back,
she was holding the walking stick. I had the camera, so it was kind of I had to be careful. I had my little steady cam with with my camera, and it was hard I had to be careful. But yeah, it was a little
Now
treacherous and fun.
we didn't make it all the way down. We did hear from people coming up that it was well worth it to go all the way down. We decided to stop because we wanted to walk all the way around, and we never really sure how long that's going to take us. But there's also, I'm told, on the opposite side, there's the turkey path goes like across the river and it goes up the other side. The other side, I'm told, is steps, on a lot of steps. So again, if you aren't in good health, you may not want to try it, but it is steps as opposed to the actual trail. So it might have been a little bit easier than the side that we were on. And so then we continued along the West Trail. Now the West Rim Trail, if you skip Turkey Point and just do the West Rim Trail, that was not quite as difficult. But we did come to an area that was very muddy.
Yeah.
Back in the woods.
Right.
So if it was a really rainy time, I'm not even sure I'd want to venture there because it was very muddy and it was dry at that time. But the funny thing is if you take the West Rim Trail, that dumps you out right at the bottom parking spot.
Yeah.
So it dumps you right back out where you started. So if you want to do the West Rim Trail, that whole loop, if you park at the bottom parking spot of the 5 viewing points, you'll come right back out to your car.
Yeah, it was fun. We were tired at the end and went back to the it does have a pool, our place where we stayed, and a hot tub. So we did go in the hot tub because we were a little tired after going through the trail. We don't do trails a lot, but when we do it, we really get into it. But we're really tired at the end.
And also wanted to point out there are 2 separate locations for viewing the Grand Canyon, but this year for the whole summer, the other location is closed. They're supposedly doing some major renovations. So I don't know how this side compares to the other side because we didn't get to see that.
Right. So can we move on to the next?
Yep.
So the next one was what I thought was really cool. And this was about an hour and a half, 2-hour drive?
No, an hour and a half.
Hour and a half drive from Wellsboro. This is the Kenzua Bridge State Park. This is a bridge that in 2003, as they were working on it, renovating, a tornado went through and leveled the bridge. And what they did was they made this into a state park, and they made it a lookout on the one edge of the bridge. Also, there's a state park building in there. You can go in, you can see the history of the bridge. There's a few videos you can watch. There's a huge gift shop. But you can also take a trail, which again, we love trails, down to the bottom of the valley to see the wreckage.
It's called the Kinzua Creek Trail.
Yeah.
And again, this is not for the faint of heart.
Yeah, it was pretty steep.
It's a lot of rocks. It is a steep decline because you're going from, where the viewing platform is, you're going straight down. So I wouldn't say it's as challenging as the last trail we discussed, but it is a lot of stepping down on big rocks.
Yep.
And it does that all the way, going all the way down.
But when we were up on the bridge, it was pretty windy, and it was really cool though. And you could see there in the shot, they have a glass floor you can look down. There's a lot of places you can take pictures here. There's another trail. There's the rail trail. I think it's where the train went through. We didn't do that because we were there maybe 2-3 hours, and then went headed back to Wellsboro. But it just was so much fun just to see this. I've seen this bridge on commercials, and I wanted to see this bridge just to see it. It's spectacular. It's taller almost than the Statue of Liberty, and there's a model inside the visitor center, and they show you that.
And it was the largest of its kind in the world when it did exist.
Yeah. So I highly recommend that.
There's another park that's about a half an hour drive the from Wellsboro, and it is said to be the darkest spot in the like
Pennsylvania.
Pennsylvania for viewing the stars. We did not go there because it was a full moon,
Yeah, and they said it.
and it kind of works against you. But if we ever go back, we definitely would like to
Right,
see that.
but one thing we did know from that is that as you're driving, we did see a couple residents, their houses, they had huge telescopes and in their yards
And
because it's so dark.
you pass this park on your way to Kenzua.
Yes,
It's like a half an hour
from
in.
Wellsboro.
You'll pass it on your way.
Yeah, yeah. So we didn't get a chance because we saw a guy in the Grand Canyons and he said, it's a full moon. So we were like, oh, let's cancel that. That's the only thing we really didn't do while we were there. So on our way home, we stopped at this Hyner View State Park. It was on we're on our way home and our friend Bob said you got to see this lookout this.
It's a drive. It's deep into the woods. You drive a twisty turny road and you got to go like all the way up a mountain, but it's definitely well worth it for the view.
Yeah, and you probably can see in one of the shots here, there's a little off to the left. Looks like a wooden platform. And what happens here, hang gliders come up here. In that shot right there, right to the left. There's hang gliders that come up here and they just jump off here and land down in the valley. And we weren't there, they weren't there to any that day, but I would love to see that.
I'm sure on the weekends. I'm sure if you scheduled to go on a weekend, you might have a better chance of seeing them. I would have liked to seen it too.
Yep. So Hyner View State Park, we stayed there for about maybe 10-15 minutes, took a lot of shots here, and then we headed home. Again, this was our trip to Wellsboro, PA. We have more trips planned coming soon, and we will definitely post those videos on Mr. Stan 913. And we will also probably do a live view of where we've gone on those trips and what we've seen.
Just also one other quick note, if you do go up to Wellsboro. We wanted a map of the trails and we were having a hard time finding it. As soon as you go into the park entrance at the bottom, just pay attention to your left. There is a area that has maps that you can pick up.
And another note here, just be able to check out our page, Mr. Stan 913. We do have some new crafts out there that Dorothy has done for the summer. Really cool wind chime. What else, Dorothy? Oh, the flower plates. Yeah, that is a fun craft. Hard but fun craft. And product demos. We haven't purchased a lot of products lately, but again, when we do, I will post them on the site. Once again, thanks for watching. This is Mr. Stan 913. If you like this video, please give it a thumbs up. And please join our page. We really would like you to see what we do and the crafts that Dorothy creates and the demos of the products. Thanks for watching again, and we'll see you again soon.